All right, we are starting chapter 6 here, differential equations. So we're going to start off here with separation of variables. All right, so this is just a lot of moving of the pieces, to be honest with you. So whenever it says solve the differential equation, that's because they're giving you a derivative in the problem. So your result should be the function. So it should be a y equals answer. That's just what the directions mean and what it's telling you that you're supposed to do. So from the y prime, I would rewrite that for the dy dx notation. And we've done this once before, but let's make sure, I guess it makes sense here, right? With the dy dx notation, it's a little clearer to say I'm going to multiply both sides by a dx. So with that, I've got a dy by itself here. And I'm noticing here that I've got a y on the right, but everything else here is an x. So let's actually multiply both sides by 2y. So I have a 2y here now on the left. And then I'm left with a square root of x dx on the right. So on my left side, I've got y's talking to dy. I've got an x talking to x on the right. So that allows me to set up, and I can now actually take the integral on both sides because I've got a dy on the left, a dx on the right. Everyone is working out well. So my power rule backwards here, right? I have y squared over 2, but I have that constant of 2, and I'm going to put in the plus c here, but we'll talk about that in a second. So square root of x, that's x to the 1/2 power. So if I go up 1, I'm at 3/2, multiply by the reciprocal, and you're going to have a plus c. All right, so I've got a plus c technically on both sides of the equation. So we want to get y by itself as our goal here. So if I say minus c, these aren't exactly the same c's if you want to call it a c1 and a c2 and things like that. In the end, I'm going to have a 1c. So quite often here when you start doing these, we don't usually write the plus c on the left because we know we're going to move it over and it's going to be combined here on the right. All right, so then just clean it up here. We've got y squared then is equal to 2/3 x to the 3/2 plus c. Well, I want to get rid of this y squared. I want it to be a y equals. So we're going to take the square root of both sides. And when you do that, we got to make sure we're accounting for both of our answers here. We could have a plus or a minus. All right, and that is our final answer. We don't know what our c is because we need more information. So if they gave us an initial condition, then we can solve for that c value. All right, so big picture here, we're moving y's to the left, we're moving x's to the right. So again, I would rewrite this. I wouldn't use a y prime. I would use a dy dx notation. So I can see my y's here are going to need to just move over to the other side. So if I multiply that by a reciprocal, I'm going to have natural log of y over y dy. And same, I've got to move the dx to the right. So then I've got x over 2 dx. All right, and then from here, we're going to take the antiderivative on both sides. So if I do a u substitution, natural log of y, then du is equal to 1 over y dy, which means this is just a u du. And that is only happening on the left side. We're not doing that on the right side. So on the right side, I'm going to go up 1 degree and divide by 2 and plus c. So my u here would be my u squared over 2, and my u is the natural log here of y. So I'm going to substitute that in right away. All right, so now I've got to multiply both sides by 2. So then I'm going to have the quantity natural log of y squared is equal to x squared over 2. And your constant multiplied by 2 is just a different constant. So for the most part, we just put c. Like nobody puts 2c. Like there's no magic to the original c that was there. So now to get rid of the square, I'm going to square root both sides. And again, we need that plus minus in front. That is really important. And now I'm going to take base e on both sides. So now that plus minus is actually in the exponent. And then we solved for y, so that's how you know that you're done. That's what the directions mean. Solve the differential. The differential is your derivative equation. It's just an adjective phrase. And to solve it, you get back to the function. All right, write and solve a differential that models the verbal statement. The rate of change of P with respect to T is proportional. That's like your spring constant, right, from physics. It's proportional to 10 minus T. All right, so they want us to solve it. So that means we're going to solve, we're going to get P equals. K is just a constant here. So when I move the dt to the other side, yes, I understand there's a non-T letter there, but it's just a constant. He's going to come along for the ride. So I'm going to bring that guy along for the ride. My antiderivative of 10 is 10t. Then I've got t squared over 2 plus c. P is already by itself. So if you wanted to distribute your k, you are more than welcome to. And then we have our P. All right, growth and decay. You've seen these in Algebra 2, you've seen them in algebra, you've seen them in physics, you've seen them in biology. Then this is even similar to when we had the compounded interest question. They just changed C to a P. Some people call this the PERT. So whether it is a C, whether it's a K, it all means the same stuff. All right, so C is your initial value. K is your proportionality constant. So how is it related to time? And then if K is positive, we are growing. If K is negative, we are shrinking. All right, a sample contains 3 grams of carbon-14. How much carbon will be present after 1,000 years? So for this problem, we've got to find K and use K. That's pretty much the standard here. So if we start off with our generic equation, I have the time it takes for the half-life to occur. So if you can imagine, you started with 2 grams and then you finish with 1 gram, that's half of that quantity. So we're trying to solve for K. So I'd put that time that half-life occurs, divide by 2 on both sides. To get that exponent out of the base E, I've got to take natural log of both sides. Then divide both sides by your 5,730. And when you do that, you're going to get a K value that is small. All right, so it's going to be... Okay, so I would keep this in your calculator and just use it in your calculator. So now they want us to figure out if we started with 3 grams of carbon-14. I'm just going to write K because I'm going to use my calculator and I'm going to substitute in that value times 1,000. So when you multiply all of that out, you're going to have 2.658 grams. All right, and that should make sense because if the half-life is almost 6,000 years and you only went for 1,000, you're not going to be too close there to halfway through from 3 down to 1.5. All right, because of slump in the economy, a company finds its annual revenues have dropped. All right, so this is going to be using data points here. So using these data points here, it starts you off with where they want T of 0 to start. So my first data point is really at 0, 742,000. And my second data point, since it's at 1998 or 2 years later, is input value of 2, and then 632,000. And it did say that our revenues are dropping, and you can tell from year 0 there to year 2, we are dropping our revenues. So setting up my equation, I've got my y equals c e to the kt. I'm starting at year 0, so I'm starting at my initial value. And I'm going to finish at the end of year 2 here. And then I've got e to the k is what we're going to find, and then my t is 2. So you're going to divide both sides. This is a pretty common procedure, so you can give yourself some writing room to avoid copying everything down all the time. Because then the next step you're going to do is you need to take the natural log of both sides. And when you do that, this exponent of 2k comes down because natural log of e is a 1. And then your next step then is going to be divide by 2. So when you do that, you should get a k value that is negative because we're decaying, we're not growing. So that should not be a surprise. And again, I would save this in the calculator, just the way it is. Use your answer feature. So now when I set up to answer the question, I'm going to have my initial amount that I started with at time 0. I'm going to use the k value in the calculator that's saved, and they're asking me for 1999, which is at t equals 3. So when you calculate that out, and this is money, so we're going to put a $sign. And we're going to round it at money because it's money. And there you go. And there's actually no calculus involved for these questions. This is all pre-calc. We didn't take any derivatives. There's no integrals. This is all old stuff that you should know. All right, so different from the last question, they don't explicitly tell us where they want t equals 0 to start. So they start off at 1980, and then they talk about 1988, and then the question is about 1985. So for simplicity's sake, let's say t of 0 is at 1980. So when we have our coordinates, we have 0, 270.9. And I understand billion is there, but there's no reason to write all the zeros. We'll just put billion at the end of our unit as well. So when I go to 1988, that would be t equals 8, and I have 343.1. We're going to do the same technique as we had before. So I'm going to have my y equals ce to the kt. All right, I'm starting with 270.9, e to the k, and we've got 8 years. I'm going to finish with the quantity of 343.1. And again, the process is the same. So we're going to take our value here, and we're going to divide by 270.9. We know we're going to take the natural log of both sides. And when I do that, I'm going to have the natural log of e on the right. So that's going to cancel. And then from there, I'm going to have my 8k come in front as a coefficient. So then my next step would be to divide by 8, very similar to the previous question. So when you do that, your k should be positive because that number is increasing, so you should not be surprised. And again, we're saving this in the calculator. So now when you go to evaluate, they want to know how much was spent in 1985, so we're looking for an end amount. I'm going to start off with our original amount that we had, our starting amount. I'm going to use the k from the calculator, and that's 5 years later. So when I calculate that out, it is going to be $314.008 billion. All right, so the second part is how long is it going to take to double. So if we start off with our generic equation, again, I understand we know k, I understand we know our initial amount, but when you divide both sides by the initial amount, to be double, that just means that this ratio equals 2. So don't spend time taking 270.9 and timesing it by 2. All right, again, we know the k amount. I don't want to write that decimal in there. So to solve for that t value, because I want to know how many years is it going to take, I've got to take the natural log of both sides. So again, when I do that, this power comes in front like a coefficient. So to solve for t means I'm going to divide both sides by k. So then my natural log of 2 divided by k is going to be 23.469 years. That's how long it's going to take to double the budget that's being spent. All right, we're going to solve this differential equation. All right, we got our derivative. We want to get to y equals. So I've got xy. So I've got my xy. I've got my dy dx. I've got my 100x. I want dy dx by itself so that I can multiply both sides by dx. So I'm going to subtract that quantity xy to the other side. Now we're trying to isolate y. So in order to isolate y, to get rid of x here, well, there's an x on both terms. So let's factor out an x. And then we have two different factors. So now we can divide both sides by this 100 minus y factor. So then on the left, I'm going to have 1 over 100 minus y dy is equal to x dx. So from there, I can integrate both sides. All right, so then some people will do a small u substitution here. So you want it to be a -1, so you counter with a -1. So then that's really 1 over u du, which we know is the natural log of u. And then if we back substitute, some people are going to be pretty comfortable with not using this u sub and just realizing that this negative is going to have a reaction on the other side. All right, so then on the right side, right, I'm going to have x squared over 2 plus c, x squared over 2 plus c. So now I need to solve for y, but it's embedded into this natural log. So I'm going to multiply both sides by a negative. And again, for the c, it doesn't change anything. I'm going to take base e on both sides. So it leaves me with the absolute value of 100 minus y is equal to e raised to the quantity negative x squared over 2 plus c. You got to note this c is in the exponent. You can't mess that part up. So if I get rid of the absolute value, that means I no longer know if my term is positive or negative. So I need to have plus or minus now on my expression on the right. So now I'm going to move the y to the right because it's just faster to write everything down. So the 100 did not move. If I move the e to the other side to get y by itself, if you're imagining the positive version, I've got to subtract it to the other side. If you imagine the negative version, I've got to add it to the other side. So it ends up being the same thing, the plus minus concept. All right, in terms of cleanliness here, sometimes 100 is written first, but usually the plus or minus is written in the proper order. And then you'd have, the 100 is positive, so then you'd have a sort of a large gap there in terms of reading and writing between your crazy power there and your plus 100. Some people prefer a grouping symbol up here to show that it's all together based on the layering of your writing.